Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 577th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we have the one call closer, Richard Mujiga, and we get into his name, among other things. Interesting dude. He's actually local to me, but we haven't met, so we got to meet. He explains what he means with this one call close, how it happens, and how you can create faster closes with less objections. He talks about why you're getting objections, how your process or lack thereof is leading to them. And so despite the flamboyant title of one call closer, he is very practical, and the tips that he provides are quite applicable. Okay, so tune in. As I've been doing now for several episodes, I want to mention a few affiliates, some people that I work with, some programs that I work with. They're on my recommended resources page on my website, and any of the companies that I mentioned, you can get to them through subdomains, all right, like burner.thesalespodcast.com. That's for phone burner. If you're making outbound dials, they say you can increase your business, your revenue, make up to 4 times more calls, better conversations, touch points, appointments, close deals with their software. They give you a free trial, no credit card. Okay, I know Henry Evans, so check it out. They're powering over 19 million monthly conversations, so they are legit. Okay, I have started the 12 Weeks to Peak program that is free. 12weekstopeak.com. Sign up for that to get free support through our LinkedIn group. Tracking sheet. I'm working with developers, be a while, but we're creating an app. But as I say, welcome to the last hard quarter of your business career. All right, get you some of that. 12 Weeks to Peak. The Founders Card I've mentioned. I've had them for years. Go to founders.thesalespodcast.com. And it's a membership, I guess you can call it. It's an annual thing. I have saved thousands on my Stripe merchant account. I've saved on Bose speakers. I've saved on hotels, cars. So you will have an ROI on that. If you're in business, if you're traveling, but it's got a little widget, a little pop-up thing on Chrome. So anytime you visit a website that is part of their program, you get a notification. So check them out, founders.thesalespodcast.com. John Buchan out of the UK. He's my drunk UK friend. I had him on years ago. And if you want to write more powerful, more compelling emails, if you want to write just mo better, check him out. It's called The Charm Offensive. My affiliate link is drunk.thesalespodcast.com. You will not get a video of me streaking. I'm not Will Ferrell, okay? There may be, there's no videos of that. I was doing all my crazy stuff, before social media and mobile phones and Ring doorbells everywhere. Praise the Lord. But drunk.thesalespodcast.com. Lead Furno. I had Aaron on. Cool product. Another free trial. Turn lurkers into leads. It's all around messaging, SMS, Facebook, Google. It's an all-in-one platform for those messaging systems. Like I said, free trial. Give them a try. You will like it. Leadfurno.thesalespodcast.com. Clean 13, the letter K, clean, and the number 13.thesalespodcast.com. I know this founder. Clean up your email list. Make sure you're not getting tricked or duped or sending messages to the spam traps, honey holes, whatever they're calling them these days. And you'll find who the complainers are. And treat them the way you want to treat them, all right? Maybe you kick them out. Maybe you love on them. Maybe you roll the dice. But that's clean13.com, okay? So that is it for now. I'm going to go easy on you. Cut that a little bit short. But, hey, do join us 12 Weeks to Peak, okay? I got great feedback on that. People are jumping in right away. And the unsolicited feedback, I put one on the message on the landing page from Nicole, and she jumped right in. And it was OMG, had my most productive day in a long time. And on today's call, she said, what did she say? Oh, she got 5 referrals last week. Asking for referrals is one of the things you do in the program. Things you know how to do, right? There's no secrets. There's no silver bullet, okay? I just help you hold yourself accountable and support you through the process, and your peers support you in the process of just digging in and doing the work. So that's 12weekstopeak.com. So get you some of that, all right? Now let's bring on Richard. Okay, because I am not an arrogant white man, I'm going to say welcome, Richard Mujica, to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
What's up, Wes? I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
I know you're telling me Mujica. Come on. No, that's how it's spelled out. But like we were saying, people need to learn how to say your damn name, right? Say my name. Tell me the show. Tell me the show. Say my name.
Say my name.
What's the show? What's the show?
What's the show? What do you mean, what's the show?
Breaking Bad.
Sales Whisper. Sales Whisper.
Breaking Bad. You didn't watch You didn't watch Breaking Bad?
You know what, dude? I did watch Breaking Bad, but it was a long time ago, and I think I forgot pretty much everything I watched, to be honest with you.
Oh my gosh, man!
Yeah.
Say my name. It's the episode. Let me see. Season 5, episode 7. I'm googling it right now. Say my name.
You know what, man? Now you're starting to spark something in me. I do know that I was hooked on that show, though, and I had to keep watching it until I finished it.
It was good. It was a good one, man. So we just found out that we live about 15 minutes away from each other,
which is crazy.
And you've got One Call Closer. One Call Closers, plural. OneCallClosers.com, the number 1.
That's it.
Is that for real, man? Are you one of those hardcore closers? Are you just ripping people's faces off? Are you manipulating them, pressuring them, strong-arming them? Is this NLP? Is it hypnosis? What do you do? Is this for real?
This is the real deal, man. This is the real deal. And, it's funny, Wes, because when I say, the difference between, because I think sales is manipulation, right? But I think there's good manipulation and bad manipulation, right? So I think bad manipulation is getting somebody to do something for your reasons, right? And then good manipulation is getting somebody to do something for their reasons. So that's what we do, man. We try to do the good manipulation.
The way I explain it, and I've asked a lot of people this, is the difference between I call it persuasion versus manipulation.
There you go.
Right. So when you're persuasive, you're helping somebody see the light, right? Come to a new conclusion, explain new information so they can come to that new conclusion because it's in their benefit, versus manipulating them, which is for your own benefit.
There you go.
And maybe it's semantics, but I think I think words matter.
Oh yeah.
And so what's the concept behind this? Because you've dabbled in a few things, right? And where did you cut your teeth? Why are you considered some one call close expert?
So we're in the high ticket closing space. And so essentially what we do, Wes, is we work with influencers, right, online, that sell information products. So, the people we work with, they're selling, coaching programs, information products on how to get started with an online business, an e-commerce store, how to get started in real estate. And so everything we sell is anywhere between $5,000 to $50,000, right? And so the reason for the name One Call Closers is because in our industry, in the high ticket space, we're having 30 to 60 minute Zoom calls. And the intention on that call is to close a deal. Because by the time somebody gets on the phone with us, they're already interested, right? They filled out an application. They've gone through a funnel. They've said, hey, man, I'm interested in what you guys are selling. I just want to learn more about it, see if it's the right fit. And if it's the right fit, then bro, let's move forward and seal the deal.
So what's the difference though between in this case, sales and marketing? Because I was approached by one of these high ticket closers, I don't know, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And they were like, I said, do you help me like with websites? Oh no. How about landing pages? Oh no. What about any kind of marketing? No. Do you do any paid traffic? No. I'm like, what do you do? Oh, we just answer the phone and take their money. And I'm like, well, that's the easy part. I mean, if I got good marketing and somebody's raising their hands, and they're that far along, right? Like if somebody shows up ready, willing, and able to plunk down that kind of money, do they need that much nudging and persuasion? Or is it like, just don't screw it up and scare them off?
Yeah. So, it's funny you say that, man, because with One Call Closers, like, it's a sales agency, quote unquote, but it's more so an acquisition agency. So like, for example, when somebody works with us, not only do we do the closing, but we set up the high ticket funnels. We can run the traffic if you guys want us to run the traffic. But the answer to your question is absolutely, man. Like in the high ticket closing space, you got to have somebody that is highly skilled at what they do, because just because somebody gets on the phone with you, it doesn't mean that they're going to buy, right? Like that's why there's good salespeople, there's bad salespeople. And, especially in our space, because there's so many people selling courses and products online, people are fearful. I mean, they've had so many bad experiences. They're like, hey man, I've already invested in coaching. I got nowhere with it. What makes you different than the other guy I invested in? Right. Yeah. Or it's like, hey man, I bought this course and there was no support. I didn't get any of the results they promised. Why should I go with you guys? Mm-hmm. So like, that's the space that we're in. So yeah, you got to be pretty lethal on the phone, man. If you want to one call close somebody. I mean, you really do. You got to know what you're doing.
So if somebody is hesitant, if they've been burned before, is that a good indicator? Does that make them a good prospect because they're still hopeful, right? They booked the meeting, they showed up. Is that a buying sign?
I think so, man. It's funny, Wes. Like all the buyers are the people that get on the phone. They say, hey man, I have no intentions on buying today. I'm just looking for information. And when we hear that, we get excited because we know that's a buyer. Like that dude, he's been burned in the past. He's hesitant. He's got the wall up. That's fine. But we know that this guy's, he's a buyer. And it's at that point, it's just like, now it's the art of closing, right? And I think closing is 50% science and it's 50% an art. And I think the science of closing is fairly easy to learn, right? Like, the words that you have to say on the phone, the language patterns, the objection handling, like that's cool. That's the science. But I think what makes somebody great is the art of closing. And I think the art only comes by experience. Like when you get on the phone and you tell John, like you can help John, he's either going to believe you or he's not going to believe you. And he's not going to believe you because you said the right words. He's going to believe you because you said it in the right way and you have the right connection with him. And so I think there's a fine line with that.
How do you get the experience though, without screwing up a lot of good opportunities?
Well, you have to, man. I don't think anybody gets past that. You got to screw up. It's no different than, somebody that's starting a business or, getting into a new career. Everybody that was great was once bad. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, when they first got a hockey stick in their hand, I'm probably sure they sucked.
Well, they might have sucked when they were 7.
Yeah, exactly. And there's something to that, right? Yeah, there's something to that.
But if I got to put food on the table and I got to close this deal to put food on the table, because when you're new, the pressure's on, right? You're wound up. You're not in state. You're not in the flow. I mean, can you still make sales, or is it just you got to pay your dues?
No, absolutely, man. I mean, you can for sure make sales, but you can for sure make sales. But somebody that's going to be great has learned the art of closing. That's kind of my belief, right? Some people have it instinctually, I guess you can say. Some people have to develop it through repetition. But the people that have it instinctually are like the people we watch on the YouTube channels, right? Like the Jordan Belforts and, the Alex Hermosis and, the Grant Cardones and all the big sales guys. Like, some people were just born natural closers, but other people like are not naturally a closer, but they can learn it, right? But the problem is it's hard to learn the art without the repetition, in my opinion. So, but with great sales training, man, like one call closers, I used to think we're like a sales agency, but what I'm realizing with what we do, we're really just a leadership and training company, because I don't think a lot of people understand like the energy that goes into building an elite sales team and keeping them consistently closing, because people are going to run into issues, right? They're going to get upset with their wife. They're going to have kids. They're going to have problems with their kids. They're going to have family issues. They're going to get sick. They're going to not feel like, oh man, today I want to close deals. But it's like, how do you get your sales team to perform every single day consistently at a very high level? And that takes a lot of training and leadership, but is what we've noticed.
So what, like in your program, right? You got onecallclosers.com. What is somebody learning? Is it talk tracks? Are they picking up like buying signals or overcoming objections? It's all the above.
Oh yeah, all the above, man. Absolutely. It's all the above. By the moment somebody gets on the phone, what does that look like, right? Because we all know that like somebody gets on the phone, they got the sales wall, right? It's like, man, I don't know this guy. The salesperson's nervous, number one. But if you think the salesperson's nervous, the person on the other end is really nervous, because like the sales guys had this conversation hundreds of times. The other person's like getting on for the first time. So they're like, dude, what the heck's going to happen here? They got the sales wall. And until you can kind of get that wall down, you can't really have an honest conversation. So it's the whole shebang, man. From the time you get on the call to the objections at the end and everything in between, you gotta know what you're doing.
How do you know if the prospect is nervous or if they're excited? Because they can kind of throw off the same vibe and energy. I mean, if they're signing up for a call and they're showing up, right? They've got to be somewhat hopeful, right? I mean, we're all jaded to a degree. We've been burned, but they're still showing up. They're making the call. So there's a spark there, right?
Oh yeah. There's a spark. Yeah, there's a spark for sure. But, with that being said, the spark, nobody's really, what I can tell you from we've taken just thousands of sales calls. And what I can tell you is that most people, when they're looking to hand over $10,000, they're nervous. Nobody's really just like excited to like, hey man, here's my 10 grand. I can't wait to like do this and I'm going to get amazing results, because, human nature, they're naturally thinking, oh, what if I get in and it doesn't work? What if I get in and my wife, gets mad at me, or my husband gets mad at me because I just spent $10,000 on this program and it's not going to get me results, or whatever it is. So I would say most people like are nervous. Like they're just nervous to move forward because they're not sure what the future is going to look like, but they're hoping that, hey man, this is the solution to my problem based off the conversation that we had. So I would tend to say most people are pretty nervous, to get started.
So when you're talking with one of these prospects, I've always talked about, our job as salespeople, I call it hurt and rescue.
Yeah.
Right. Get them to discuss an issue. I mean, people call because something happened.
Yeah. 100%.
Something happened. They lost a big deal, a big fight with their wife, whatever, a friend picked on them. They went to a reunion and somebody didn't recognize them because they were overweight. Something specific happened that was the final straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Right. So, I talk about hurt and rescue. I try to get them to really dive deep and explain what the heck is going on. Why are we even talking?
Yep.
Get that emotion, but then I want to be the one there when they make that pivot, when they see the light, they go, oh, I forget, was it there's like a syndrome, like save somebody from death, right? And they look up and now they're in love with you. What was like the nurse that, it's going to kill me. I have to look it up. But am I on the right track with that? Are you doing something similar?
So if you could clarify. So by showing somebody the light on the call. So, our typical process, Wes, is like you said, right? Somebody's showing up to the call and we know they have a problem. Now, whatever that problem is, well, we have to figure that out, because it's like, to your point, why are we even on the call? This guy just got on a call. He's taking 30 minutes of his time, which is your most valuable resource, by the way. And why is this guy going to take 30 minutes to talk to somebody if he doesn't have a problem he's trying to solve? And so that's the first thing that we try to figure out is like, hey, Bob, like, why are you on this call? And that's one of the first questions we'll ask him is like, hey, Bob, what got you on the call today? Right. And a lot of times they'll be like, well, I just saw that you guys are, helping people get into real estate investing, and I'm pretty interested in that. And I'd like to learn more. Right. And so what we do from there is just to make sure that we're solving the right problem is we'll repeat back what Bob said. And the way that we do that, Wes, is by saying, hey, Bob, so the reason why you're on the call with me today is, and then we literally just repeat back what they said to make sure I'm clear, Bob, why you're on this call. And a lot of times what happens, Wes, is they'll say, yeah, that's why I'm on the call, but also X, Y, and Z. Right. So now they've just given us more clarity on why they're actually on the call. And then what we do from that point is we restate what they said again. We say, hey, Bob, thanks for, actually adding that additional clarity. So if I hear you right, Bob, the reason why you're on the call with me is, and then X, Y, and we want them to literally, Wes, to like nod their head and say, exactly, that's why I'm on the call today. And then we're like, boom, we know exactly what problem we're solving here. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, part of the process is now we have to figure out, well, if Bob wants to try to solve this problem, I'm sure Bob has tried something in the past to solve it. So then it's like, well, Bob, what have you done in the past to try to solve this? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we dive into the pain. And as you know, right, we're trying to get the gap of like, the pain and then the vision. And so then they dive into the pain. And then from there, our next series of questions is going to be around, well, hey, Bob, let me ask you this. Like, what do you feel like you need right now to be successful at this? So then that's important because we want to know what Bob feels like he needs to actually get over the hump and get the results that he wants. Mm-hmm. Right. And then we can use that information later in the pitch to tailor the pitch to exactly what Bob feels like he needs. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. Right. And then the third thing that we do, Wes, is we end with the vision. Hey, you know what, Bob, tell me, man, what are you looking to accomplish in the next, X amount of time? If this were to happen for you, tell me what life would be like. Dream with me a little bit. What would you be able to do? Where are the places you'd like to go? And now we get their vision. So now we've gotten the pain, the vision. The more that they can kind of get into that, we create the gap wider and wider and wider. And then we can get the solution right in the middle to bridge it. Right. So that's part of the process that we go through.
Yeah. Yeah. That, expanding the gap, right. Creating the pain, making them realize, oh crap, I got to do something. This is bigger than I thought. But then giving them hope, that help and rescue, right? Here's a pathway. Here's a way that can get you to that end goal.
Exactly. Exactly.
What do you say though to the person? I mean, there are some analytical types that do have to sleep on it, or they are going to run it by the spouse. How do you know when that's sincere, to push hard versus back off and say, okay, you want to talk tomorrow? You want to talk the end of the week? How much time do you need? Like, how do you know how to balance that?
Yeah, I think you know that by what comes before that, if that makes sense. Because, it's funny in our industry, Wes, and maybe you'll agree or maybe you'll disagree, but I see a lot of sales trainers out there and everybody likes to focus on the objection handling, right? Like, hey, get my 7-call objection handling script. Hey, let me give you the perfect objection handler I need to think about it and my spouse. And here's the reality, right? Like, if that stuff actually worked, everybody would be great closers. Like everybody would be closing deals left and right. But the reality is that objection handling is not where we start like up until that point, you've had a whole conversation with another human being. And the reason why you're typically getting an objection and you're not sure where they're at in the call is because you didn't do something right beforehand, right? And so something that we like to do throughout the sales pitch is to clarify that the prospect A sees value in what we're offering, and they feel like the value is exactly what they need to get the outcome they want. And so the way that we do that is during the pitch, maybe we have different pillars that we go through. So we'll say, hey, Mr. Prospect, like we like to use analogies during the pitch. So instead of saying, hey, Mr. Prospect, when you get inside of our program, we're going to show you how to build passive income online. We'll say something to the effect of like, hey, Mr. Prospect, the reason why people end up investing in our program is because I want you to imagine really quick, like a machine, right? And can we agree, Greg, like in order to make passive income, you need something to work for you while you're sleeping, right? Does that make sense? Like that's the only way you'd be able to make passive income. So what we do inside the program, Greg, is we build a machine for you. And if you think about a machine really quick, is like once you have the machine built, you flip the switch and guess what? Now it operates for you. And so that's exactly what we're going to show you how to do in the program. And then after we say that, we say, hey, Greg, let me ask you this, like based off of that, is that what you're looking for? Is that something you feel like would help you get to your goal of $10,000 a month in income online if you had a machine that was working for you 24/7? And then we get them to say, yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Now, if they don't say that, then if they say, well, that's kind of like what I'm looking for, well, that's not good enough. We don't move forward. That's an objection right there. So we want to handle the objection now instead of later. So we'll say, hey, Greg, hey, no problem, man. It sounds like you're looking for something maybe a little bit more specific. What else were you kind of looking for, right? And now we can have a dialogue with Greg and get past the objection now as opposed to getting it later, right? And so if you follow this process, by the time you go to ask for money, you as the closer already know Greg needs this, wants this, and is willing to do what it takes to get this. And I think that's what most closers are missing in our space, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they're rushing it. They're not listening. They're just trying to get through all the talking points, and they think just being so prescriptive, they're following the science, not the art.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
I think
not
so.
able to
Exactly.
adjust to I always say we got to meet the prospects where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if we got to touch all 12 points on the clock, maybe this guy's coming in at 9. All right. Then I'm going to start on 9 and we'll finish on 8, like, all right, fine. But, I think too many people are, oh, no, we got to go to 12 and then go to 1 and then end at 12 again, like.
Yes, I'd agree with you. Hey, so Wes, I don't know if you know a guy named Alex Hermosi. Have you ever heard of Alex Hermosi before?
Sure.
Yeah. So he has a great line in sales. And he said, why do most people, when they go to propose to get married, they have like a 99% closing ratio on that? And he says, why is it that they propose and get a yes? He's like, because they already know before they propose that they're going to say yes. So, and he took that concept and he applied it to sales. And that's what we try to do in our company is like, hey, don't ask for the sale until you know the prospect's going to say yes. Right. And it's like the same with a proposal, right? Like you're not going to ask your fiance to marry you if you're like 60% sure she's going to say yes. You're like, no, I think I'm going to wait until I'm like 98% sure, 99% sure. And it's the same concept.
Right. Yeah. And, I had Mara Glazer on here years ago, and, her dad was the G in GKIC back in the day. And when she had started her own business, she was charging 10 grand per client. And I said, how'd you come up with that number? She said, that's what I wanted to be paid. So that's what I charged. And I was like, well, that's cool, because people usually they won't charge what they're worth,
Mm, mm.
you know, and so like in your world, these, you're getting paid a commission, a percentage of what is being sold. So the your customers, like they're happy getting less than what you're charging, but the world's willing to pay. The world sees them as worth that amount,
Yeah.
and so, but we're all limited to a degree, right? The curse of knowledge. Oh, people won't pay that. I'm not worth that. It's so easy to me. I really feel bad charging this
Yeah.
much money. It's like,
Yeah.
charge based on the problems that you solve. If it's easy
Yeah.
for you, that's fine. Like, if the dentist can make your tooth pain go away in 5 minutes, would you feel better paying, $5,000 if he took 5 hours? Is that a
Yeah.
better
It's like,
service, or is speed actually a benefit?
yes, I'd agree
You
with
know,
you. Yeah, I agree with you. And you know what's so funny is like there's no correlation between time and money, right? Like to your point, if the dentist could do it in 5 minutes and he charges you $10,000, you'd pay it. But a lot of people think, well, oh, wait. Like if I can get this person the result in like, an hour, why would they pay me, $20,000 to do it? It doesn't take, because they're equating time with money. They think it needs to take more time, and that's how the person's going to see value. When
yeah,
really it's like, no, it has nothing to do with the amount of time you put into it. It matters what result can you get the person,
yeah,
and that's it. That's it.
yeah. It's like, oh, look, I'm sweaty and bloody, and I really worked hard, so that's why I earned whatever, dude.
Whatever.
I just need the thing done. I
Yeah.
got an itch. Can you scratch it? Here's what I'll pay for that scratch. But people, I mean, they just struggle with it. But oh well. Um,
100%.
you know,
100%.
as you're talking to these prospects, are there some objective things that you can look for that are like indicators, like, okay, I'm on the right path, like this person, or on the wrong path? Are there some objective things like our listeners could take a few notes on, and maybe on some calls today they could apply them?
Yeah, I would say number one, man, is the other person on the other line. Are they jiving with you? Like, are you getting, hey man, that's exactly, what it is. Hey, that's exactly, what I'm looking to do. Hey, that's exactly, what I'm looking to solve right now. Hey, this is exactly what I think is going to help me, solve my issue right now. Hey, right now is right now is the best time to kind of do something like this in my life. Hey, right now, financially, I am in a good spot where I can invest in myself and my future. Like, I think these are the things that you need to get throughout the conversation from Bob or Mary or John, is the nods along the way of like, yes, man, like we're jiving right now. Like I hear what you're saying as like the closer, and yes, that's what I'm looking for. And yes, that's my problem. And yes, this is how I think you could help me right now. And if you're getting like, that's right, that's what you need, man. But on the other hand, if the other person is not reciprocating like that, and they're like, their energy's pretty low, and they're just kind of like, yeah, I think that might be what I'm looking for. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that kind of sounds like it. Well, that's a clear sign that there's something wrong in that conversation. And instead of just going throughout the call and acting like, oh man, I hope John buys at the end of this, or I hope I can provide value. Hope is not a strategy, as we all know. And you gotta figure something out on that call. And sometimes you just got to wake the prospect up. And something that we'll do in the call sometimes, Wes, is like, hey, you know what, John, I get the sense, man, that this is not really what you're looking for. And this is not even going to help you at all. Now, I could be wrong, John, but that's the vibe I'm getting. What are your thoughts? And now it's John. It's in the ball's in John's court. Like, he's either going to say, no, dude, no, I am looking for something like this. Like, don't get me wrong. This sounds good. Oh, okay, cool. Let's continue and get back on track then. Or he's going to say, you know what, man, to be honest, this is not what I'm looking for. Like, okay, good. Let's find something else that's better for you. And like, you know, I don't want to waste your time. I'm not here to waste your time.
Yeah.
You know,
Don't try to force it. You know, some people will say, oh, that's the takeaway close. It's like, if you're an old school individual, yeah. But it's like, if you're truly trying to serve them, you know, I just want an answer. No is okay. The maybes are what kill us.
the babies.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, I just want an answer. And in my world and in yours too, you probably know enough people, you know, yeah, ideally you sell them the thing that they called in for, but maybe they need a downgrade. Maybe they just need a lateral shift, and you know somebody, you're an affiliate or something, you can refer them out and get them what they truly need. Yeah, I told people forever and ever, you know, I've been an Infusionsoft partner since 2008.
Oh.
And I told more people no than yes. You know, I wasn't trying to win them over. I was warning them, you know, because they'd all say, well, how long will it take to get up and running?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know, how do you define up and running? So I'd say 5 minutes. What? You know, like, I can create you a contact us web form and a confirmation email in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, but I know that's not really what you're looking for, right? No, I mean like really up and running. And I would tell them, so plan on the hardest 90 days of your professional career.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm going to ask you questions you've never even thought of. You know, we're going to break down your entire business. We're going to find the gaps. We're going to find the bleeding neck. We're going to triage right there.
Yeah.
Then we're going to rinse, wash, and repeat until 50 to 100% of your business is automated. And it'll be hard, but it'll be the last time you ever have to do it.
Exactly.
So are you up for the challenge? You know, you know, it's like you either are or you aren't. But like, I didn't sugarcoat it, right? It's like, it's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you sleep, because I'm going to ask you hard things. You know, and it's not the software's fault.
Yeah. And you probably didn't get customers refunding and saying, hey, you didn't sell me what I thought I was getting into.
I still get residual checks, you know, 14 years into this, I'm still getting money. So, it's like somebody, you know, just because you're fat, don't blame the Nautilus machine. You ate that food.
Right. Yes, exactly, man. Exactly. Because if you don't do that in our space, man, like what they're going to do is they're going to get inside the program. They're going to say, dude, this guy sold me something that I don't even need. And then they're just going to refund.
Yeah. They tricked me. They pressured me. They lied to me.
Yeah. It's like nobody wins, right? The prospect doesn't win. You don't win as the salesperson. Yeah, maybe you got the commission if you're just trying to close for a commission, but guess what? It's going to get pulled from you once they refund. Yeah. And now you feel like even worse. Now your day's bad. You're like, dude, I just got my commission pulled. I'm in a bad headspace. And then you know, for the next week, you don't close as much because you're in a bad headspace. So like nobody wins. It's like,
plus you got somebody out there selling against you.
Somebody's selling against you. Yeah.
You know, they're out there bad mouthing you and by association, the product or company you're selling.
Yep. And that's killer in today's market, man. Because you know, reviews. I mean, everybody's living and dying on reviews right now, like your reputation.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I had no problem. I always tell people, like, my dirty little secret is I hate sales. You know, I hate the old traditional
gamesmanship. That's for sure.
This one guy, he was messaging me on Facebook, you know, and he's using the old Tom Hopkins. I think he had mentioned Tom Hopkins too in one of the messages. And I was like, hey, there's a nice scarcity. There's a nice tie down. There's a nice alternative choice close. Then I send him the link to my interview of having Tom Hopkins on the sales podcast. He's like, oh, hell, you're old school. Yeah, I'm old school, dude. It's like, I know what the hell you're doing. You know, stop gaming the gamer. I'm like, don't game anybody. You know, just have a conversation. Why is that so hard?
Why is that so hard? I mean, and being honest. And I've said this always, and again, going down to the objection handling, right? Everybody's looking for the perfect objection line. And the way we teach our closers is like, dude, I believe the best objection crushers is just honesty.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest with Bob. Like, hey, Bob, listen, dude, you can think about it. You could do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, Bob, when you get off this call, guess what? you're going to go back to a job you don't like. You're going to go back to the things that you do. You already know what that life's like. Like you already know that life, man. You can get off the call and go back to that, or you can go option B. Yeah, you don't know what that road looks like. It's a little fuzzy right now, but I promise you everything you want is on option B. And so it's up to you though. Like it's the ball's in your court.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you get your trainees to buy into this? You know, because some will say, oh, this feels scripted. Oh, I don't want to put pressure. I'm just really here to help. I'm just here to educate, you know, inform, advise. I don't really want to put any pressure on anybody. Like, what do you say to them?
That's the ticket, man. And Wes, it's a great question because it's the number one issue in our space is that exact thing. Like there's order takers and then there's closers, right? Most people are order takers, right? They want to go to the checkout line. Hey man, let me take your order. What do you want? It's not how it works, right? But that's what they're hoping for. And so what we do, man, is we have to install a different mindset, a different belief system in their head. Like that right there is the ticket. Once you can turn somebody from an order taker into a closer, that's a mindset shift. And the biggest thing that I'll say on that and how we've been able to do it and kind of scale our closers is by getting them to truly believe in what they're selling. Because like, in my opinion, closing and sale, like I hate selling, like you should, I don't like the word selling because it's like, dude, it's okay. You can call it sales, you can call it closing, you can call it whatever. But at the end of the day, if your mom has a gash in her right leg, what would you do? You would say, mom, let me put this Band-Aid on you to like stop the bleeding really quick. Like, can I do that really? Like, is that okay with you? Like, that's sales, man. Like you're giving somebody something that they need, they want, it's going to benefit their life and help them. Like that's all it is. Why do you have to get so crazy with it? It's nothing scary. And so with that being said, man, if we can get somebody to believe in the product and truly think like, know that, hey man, Bob needs to get in this program. Like he needs it. His life will transform if he just gets in. Well, then if they truly believe, they'll take the extra mile to stay in the close, to work through the objections, to work through the, you know, all the stuff, all the stuff that's going on in Bob's head, and they'll stay in it because they're truly trying to help and they're truly trying to get them into a life transforming product. And I think that's the big ticket that we've noticed on our end.
Well, and you know, something I had to internalize is that because I'd be like, oh, I don't want to pressure these people because maybe it's you know, maybe they don't have time, maybe they really won't go through it. I'll just let them sort things out on their own. But it's like, ideally, you want your product or program or solution to be the thing that solves all their woes. But the reality is sometimes people have to sign up for something, see it on their credit card statement every month for months and months and maybe even years until they finally get sick of that and finally do something. So maybe I'm the stepping stone, you know, and maybe I'm the conduit to their solution, but maybe I'm just the stepping stone. But it's like, I show up, like I have my Monday calls. I show up. Sometimes there's a lot of people. Sometimes there's only a few people.
Yep.
It's recorded. I share it. People will join for a year at a time. They can do month to month. They'll join for a year. Well, now I changed it to quarterly or a year.
There you go. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm available. So that's all I can do. You know, literally you can lead the horse to water. You can't make them drink. I'm like, ask me a question. I'm here every Monday. Got a private group. You can ask questions anytime.
Yep.
So I no longer feel bad about cashing their checks.
Yep.
And sometimes a year later, I hear from them, hey, I'm not using, I'm going to cancel. Okay. And other times it's like, I got a guy right now. He messaged me like a couple of weeks ago. He says, hey, how do I renew? And I looked him up. I'm like, dude, you're paid through October. Why don't you just start showing up? So now he's showing up. He's like, okay, I still want to renew.
That's a novel concept. Oh, you mean actually do what you're saying?
Yeah. And he's like, I still want to renew. I'm like, I would love for you to renew, but welcome. It's good to see you on the calls. You know,
it's so funny, man. It's so
and it's
funny.
like, he joined for a year. and he's on all the emails. He gets invited to every call every Monday, you know. So I just stopped feeling bad, right? It's like I put out the buffet. You didn't. You were silly, and you went to happy hour, and you ate 12 pounds of chips and salsa, and now you showed up to to this roast beef, Brazilian buffet, right? And fogo de chao, and you're not hungry. But you paid for your seat. The buffet was prepaid. I'm sorry. I hope those were good chips.
It's the truth, man. And my mentor told me one time, he said, Rich, the more people pay, the more they pay attention.
No.
And so that's why I love the high ticket space. I'm like, dude, if you can charge this guy $2,000 or $15,000 for the same product, I'd rather charge him $15,000 all day long, because I know that if Bob pays $15,000, more than likely he's going to take some action, right? Yeah. But if he spends $2,000, he might just let it sit on the shelf and not do anything with it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't help anybody by being the cheapest price, like not in our space. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I just want to get everybody in the door. Yeah, but you're not helping anybody. Like you can charge $300 a month if you want, but guess what? Nobody's going to do anything. But if you get them to charge $15,000 and they feel that in their pocketbook, and maybe that was their last $15,000 they had, well, guess what? They got to do something.
Yeah.
And you can help somebody,
So you've got a couple of resources. So I'm linking out to your Instagram. So it's your first name _ last name. So Richard _ Mujica. Mujica. For the white people.
For the whites.
And then the number 1, the numerical 1, onecallclosers.com. Well, if somebody's jogging, riding a bike, right, probably keep it simple. So find you on Instagram or find you at onecallclosers.com.
That's
the best.
That's it.
113,000 followers, man. What are you doing? How'd you get all those people? It's the beard, huh? I need to grow a beard, don't I?
It must be the beard, man. You might be right. I don't know. Maybe the bald head, or I don't.
So I got to shave my head and grow my beard.
That's it. Yeah. Well, hey, by the way, fun fact for your audience, I was going bald and I just got a hair transplant surgery. So I now have a straight hairline, which I never had before. Well, it's been like probably 15 years since I've had a straight hairline. So pretty cool procedure.
Oh, hey, knock yourself out, man. I think I'll just shave it. Bald is beautiful, dude.
You know what, man? It's a pain in the butt, though, shaving it every day. It takes, it's a commitment. It's a commitment.
Well, just do like the beard. I shave like once a week, whether I need to or not.
Yeah, but then
head's different, huh?
Yeah, it's different. And then, you got the balding stuff, and then it shows, and you're like, and then you get I don't know. It's
just throw a hat on. Everybody wears hats nowadays.
And then, I love the hat method, to be honest with you. I do like that method, but I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I don't know about you, but when I wear hats for extended amounts of time, I feel pressure in my head. Like I start feeling a little pressure and it bothers me. And I'm like, man, I want to take the hat off.
I got a big old dense head. So no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. What a character.
All right. Richard Mujica, One Call Closers, all the way from Canyon Lakes. All right, dude.
Crazy,
can't believe we haven't.
We should have done this in person, Wes.
I know. I didn't look it up till the last minute. I would say, I'm surprised we haven't run across each other, but the fact is I like staying home. I go to jiu-jitsu, I go to church, I come home, and I go wherever my wife tells me. So, that's about it. So it's hard to cross paths with me.
That's my life too, man. Where everybody's remote. I got my 4 kids, my wife, and that's what I do.
We go to the wine. We were at Wilson Creek last night. They have their member appreciation barbecue. So, we'll do little things. And my wife's not a foodie, man. She's got her favorite places that are like very simple.
Yeah.
So
flame broiler, Chipotle.
She loves Chipotle. Yeah, not so much flame broiler. I don't think we've ever been there. Now you mentioned that.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Miguel's. She loves Miguel's.
Oh, Miguel's. Yeah, that's a great
I'm
place.
sold. She's from Corona. So that was like a staple growing up for her. So now it's
there you go.
Now we all eat Miguel's.
100%.
So but if you're on the way to the wineries, you got to pass right by me so you can pick me up.
Yeah, there you go.
All All right,
There you
Richard,
go, there you go.
onecallclosers.com. Thanks for coming to the show, man. It's been great.
Thanks, Wes. Thanks for having me, man.
So we had some fun with the opening of the show, but I meant it. Say people's names correctly, right? The sweetest sound to someone's ears is their own name. I've lived here in the Temecula Valley now almost 8 years. We have the largest Indian, Native American casino in the state is right here, like 15, 20 minutes away from me, and it's called Pachanga. But white people look at it, and you say Pachanga. And I said it for a long time. When we got here, I think it was a big tent. I have to go back and look at the dates, but it's huge now. It's a resort, golf course, day spa. It's when you're in it, you think you're in Vegas. They just built a new tower. Well, it's been a few years now, but I've been to several events. I was named Citizen of the Year for our little Murrieta Chamber of Commerce after did a bunch of help in Hurricane Harvey. Flew to Houston, but place is legit, and they are a huge presence in this valley. And it's like, how hard is it to learn how to say the name properly? We're a nation of immigrants, right? So take your time when you're calling, making your outbound calls, when you're speaking with prospects. If you don't know how to pronounce their name, ask them. I asked Richard as we got started. I ask all my guests. The names are, they're just different. Aaron Weike, Bethany Stockenfeld, Richard Mujica. So I ask just to be 100% sure. I want to say their names right. So pay attention, right? Small hinges swing big doors. If you're in my training, you will hear me say that all the time. Small hinges swing big doors. Taking the time to get somebody's name right is important. So get all the little details right. That's what we're doing in the 12 weeks to peak. Help you cover a lot of little details and be consistent and do them right and plant those seeds and watch it grow. I say it's free to join. It's easy to do, hard to complete, but worth the pain. So come join us, 12weekstopeak.com. I'll go sell something.